You get to touch a truck. Welcome to Community News. My name is Paul.
My name is Sasha.
Hello there, Sasha. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing, Paul?
It's great. It sounds like you're recording in the back of a fast food restaurant kitchen as they're clearing off all the plates, but that's okay.
Oh my
Everything
gosh.
is good?
Things are what they are. I came upstairs thinking that any noise happening in my kitchen would not be heard from up here, but I'm sorry, you have good hearing.
You never know. There's no clinking bracelets anymore. I cured you of that for 3 years. No jewelry. There's a bra on and everything else. Now I'm going to have to work on clinking in the kitchen. That'll be my next mission.
Right. That means you have to get the other people in my house, to change their ways.
Somehow something tells me that is not going to be happening no matter how hard I try.
You never know. You're pretty persuasive.
Really? All right, I'm heading right over there then. So I want to ask you, how was the Oyster Festival this weekend? I didn't get to go. How many oysters did you down? Did it make you frisky afterwards, or what happened?
I was really bummed you weren't there because I brought a sign and there was an extra table that wasn't like a booth, but it was a table that was just kicking around. So I stuck the sign on it. It looked like a very Little Rascals kind of booth, but I tried to get people to take the oyster test. I only got 3 people to take it. And I think all of us had the same conclusion that we didn't feel any difference.
Right.
Including myself when I ate them.
So none of you were horny. Now, was it men, women, young, old? Who were the 3?
There was a couple that were 18 and 19, and they said they didn't feel a difference, which I thought was interesting. And then one of my friends in her 50s, I got her to do it because it was kind of sad nobody was doing it.
So she did it, and nor she nor you. So no one in their 50s and no one in their teens, which we probably shouldn't have been doing anybody in their teens anyway. No one felt randy, horny, frisky, just satisfied with oysters.
Right. Over 18, I think, is legal and fine, right?
Is that okay?
Well, I didn't think about teen and teen. I should have thought of that. But the fact that they're over 18, I think you don't have to be over 21. I don't know.
To feed.
I let them
it wasn't like you were a feeder trying to feed them that way, right? Like we've spoken about in the past. Nothing like that.
On talk shows in the past.
No.
And I heard you talking about Touch a Truck. I used to go to those when my kids were little.
Well, there is one this weekend, so you can bring them back, a Touch a Truck. The fire truck parade goes through town, and at the end of the parade, there is Touch a Truck for all kids of all ages, including teens who like oysters or take oyster tests to see if they get horny.
My kids would never go to a Touch a Truck now, but they wouldn't even go when they were like 8 and 10. And when we did take them when they were 2 and 4, maybe all the way up to one of them being 5, I think 4.
Right.
One of them would go nuts because he has some sensory stuff and, like you, some sound things. So being somewhere with 40 trucks and 40 different vehicles beeping their horns was the absolute worst place to bring him. And I was a new mom. Somebody should have said, "Hey, if your kids have issues with sounds, this might not be the right event."
Right.
I wish someone told me that in advance. Instead, we would drag him there, try to get him to do what all the other kids were doing, be exciting, hitting the horn, and instead he's crying, he's screaming,
Right. So it sounds like it was a blast and a half when you used to go to Touch a Truck. So
it was terrible.
Do you think he's old enough now to maybe appreciate the whole touching a truck, or not yet?
No. Now they would both find the name creepy, and they would probably make a reference to pedophiles.
Right. To like some random person feeding an 18 and 19-year-old oysters at some oyster festival, something like that. Crazy like that. Well, there is the fire truck parade. Saturday it is scheduled for, if it's a rain. Sunday will be the fire truck parade down Main Street in town. Make sure not to park on any side of the street. All parking is forbidden down there for that day.
Touch a Truck is such a funny concept, I just want to say. I never knew of it till my kids were toddlers. But it really is a funny concept when you think of it. I mean, most people here have moved from some kind of big metropolis like New York City, or some from Chicago or DC or Boston. And we've all lived with all that noise of garbage trucks, police, sirens, fire trucks. Like, I think most of us had our fill with the truck sounds and the noises. So it's kind of funny that just because you move an hour outside of the city to this quiet little town port, they certainly turn it around as if it's this bespoke novelty, that you can hear the fire horn and hear the garbage truck. Like, maybe I don't want to hear all that noise. Maybe I moved out here for peace and quiet.
Well, I think you should join the town board and make sure that this is forbidden then for next year. So you could be the Grinch and the curmudgeon there and say no more fire truck parades in our town. Yes? Touch a truck.
No, if people are happy with it, great. I think back to my new mom self, dragging my kids to different firehouses for tours and touch a trucks, and I just think about how I was trying to come up with stuff to do,
Right.
And it's just ridiculous that
So, were you one of those Western families that would roam from town to town looking for touch-a-trucks and things to do to entertain the kids?
Whatever things were around the town or whatever, I'd go to all these different things and play groups.
Imagine if you had this podcast when your kids were young. You could have found out about touch-a-truck and everything else going out in town. That's why we're such a community service.
That's true. So, guys, if you have little kids, as long as they don't have sensory issues, they might enjoy the touch-a-truck.
And I can guarantee one thing, you will not see Sasha or I there either Saturday and or on the rain date on Sunday. Another note, what?
Oh, sorry.
Go.
I was going to say, for the people who have little kids that are listening, do you feel like taking your children to events like Touch-a-Truck have been part of their success? Like why one of them is, now, why one has an MBA, let's say, and one's in medical school? Am I allowed to say that? Like, you have very successful children. Do you think it was from going to town events like Touch a Truck or the Rubber Duck event, and things at the library? Do you think that added to their?
I absolutely think Touch a Truck was instrumental because they wrote about that on their essays to get into professional schools, both medical school and to business school. The essay was specifically about Touch a Truck and their fond memories of placing their hands and laughing at the kids who were crying because they couldn't take all the noise. So that's what happened. So in fact, it was.
If anything, the only people that maybe get influenced well by Touch a Truck are kids that become garbage men or like firemen because they fall in love with the big trucks,
Right. Exactly. Maybe. Who knows? No, you're right. Your kids hated it.
Well, I'm telling you, it was a lot of screaming and unhappiness and fear. I mean, it was like we were trying to do something good, but one absolutely hated it. When I think back, I don't know that any kids love it. I think it's just we're all bored parents looking for something to do with our kids when they're little, So you're dragging them to all these places, these non-events, creating an event, and then trying to act like this should be fun. But the only one having fun is the person taking a picture of the kid in front of the truck. Like, it's all for the pictures. Nobody in reality is like having fun. There might be a couple wild kids that like the sound of the horn, but.
Well, I have something fun for you to do with the kids if you'd like. We've been alerted by the tax collector that the second quarter taxes are due on October 1st. So if they'd like to go to the tax collector's office while you're paying your taxes, what could be better than that? Touch a truck and pay taxes. Yes?
Yeah.
No? Would you do that with your kids?
Door to door. I thought you were going to send me door to door collecting people's taxes like a census taker.
Would you like to do that?
I would not.
Well, would your kids prefer to go to the fire truck or the tax collector's office?
Neither. They'll stay home with their earbuds and listening to what they'd listen to.
Clinking dishes in the kitchen.
No, typically one video games, the other one YouTube.
Perfect. Even better. I have no video games or YouTube announcements for the town, but one other thing that I'd like everybody to know, please be on the lookout for spotted lanternflies. It's a new invasive insect coming to town, and if you see their hives, there's pictures on our website, there's pictures on the Townport website. If you see their hives, either call the town to eradicate them, or you can step on them. They're not harmful to humans, only to plants and trees. They're planting their larvae now, so make sure to be an executioner and get rid of every single spotted lanternfly hive that you see in town.
Thank you for informing us all about those. I never even heard of them.
It's a new thing. It's something brand new. Who knows? Maybe they're the COVID flies. I have no idea, but they're here.
So you can tell us. all these things that you can warn us.
Now, are you going to go out and inspect all the trees on your property, or are you going to have your husband do that, or the kids do that, or what's going to happen? Because I don't want your house to be falling down because of spotted and lanternflies invading or you screaming in the street as they chase you throughout the house.
Well, you know my habit of trying to hire people to do these things. I'll ask the person that mows the lawn if they notice any bugs on the trees.
Wow. So that's it. You're not going to go out there in total. I could see you in like a full beekeeper's outfit with a shield over your face looking for these things. No?
I really dislike bugs, so I'm not much of a gardener.
So if a bug is in your house, what do you do? Is it a total freak out at that point?
Sometimes I have to handle it, but if there is a male home, I try to get them to handle it.
And is there anyone more or less brave than you in the house, or is everybody about the same?
My kids are so scared of bugs. They hate bugs, so I end up having to get a lot of them, which is not fun for me at all.
Wow, look at Sasha, the executioner.
Look at her go.
It's unbelievable. All right, so just want to let you know, touch a truck this weekend. Make sure to pay your taxes by October 1st. And spotted and lanternflies are invading our town. Make sure to eradicate those hives wherever you see them. On that note, I'm going to inspect the property, and I'm going to come over and inspect your property.
Ooh, that would be great.
Right.
I feel like this episode was brought to us by a letter T, as you were saying all the things we talked about. It was a very T-heavy show.
T?
T, the letter T.
Well, that's important. So we should get a sponsor whose name is T, and then they could sponsor the show before, and then we could say they sponsored the show or something along those lines.
Good idea.
There's no logic there, but there's no logic in anything I say, so what can I say?
There's no logic in this world, so
right.
We're just trying to make logic out of an illogical world.
All right, on that note, I'm going out to enjoy the rest of the day. Sasha, I hope you do the same. It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm glad to hear all the kitchen plates are done in your house. And on that note, my name is Paul.
And my name is Sasha.
Sasha, it's been a pleasure. I will see you again next week.
See you next Tuesday, Paul. And we love you, community.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.